Howdy. This is part 4 and the final part of the final video on my take on some very important transits that are going to impact America this year. Okay, in the previous parts, I looked at things that already happened and talked about what I expected and what actually occurred. And in this part, we'll look at some things which are yet to happen. So let me share my screen here. Okay, first we'll talk about the Mars retrograde period. I have a little graph here showing a position of Mars in the sky from August. Here we get into a retrograde period and then starts moving direct again, and this goes into March of next year. Now, Mars usually spends about 8 weeks in a sign, but this fall, due to its retrograde motion, it will spend over 7 months in Gemini. At best, this will stimulate commerce and intellectual thought. However, its interaction with the July 4th, oops, that says 1775. Change that to 1776. In fact, let me see if I can change this right now to 1776. There, I feel better now. Its interaction with the July 4th, 1776 chart for America looks more problematic. Okay, on the dates below, when transing Mars connects with natal Mars, Uranus, or Neptune, there's a heightened risk of violence or other forms of discord, and it will certainly be an interesting time in America. So let me walk you through some of these dates. On September 5th, transing Mars is going to be conjunct natal Uranus. In fact, just right before that, Mars enters the retrograde zone. Mars enters the retrograde zone at 8 degrees Gemini, and that is where natal Uranus is in this July 4th Declaration of Independence chart. So it's a revolutionary time. At its worst, we have people actually fighting in the streets, acts of violence occurring. More likely, this may be a time when politically there is a push by individuals for freedom and independence. And this could be freedom and independence on a variety of issues. It could be the issue of a woman's right to choose an abortion or not. It could have to do with things like cannabis reform or personal religious liberties. We can't always say ahead of time what the issues will be, but this is a time when there will be more of a push for individual freedom and liberty. On October 4th, we have transing Mars conjunct natal Mars, and that in particular is when violence or aggression is more likely to occur. Hopefully that happens just on an intellectual level and not on a physical level. Shortly after that, on October 8th, Mars is going to be squaring Neptune. And recall that in the July 4th, 1776 Declaration of Independence chart, we actually have Neptune square Mars. This is where we get very passionate about our ideas and our ideologies. So this is stimulating something which exists in the Declaration of Independence chart. But that's when we have a heightened probability for aggression or violence. On October 30th, that is when Mars turns retrograde. And when it returns retrograde, we're going to revisit all of these transits. All of these issues are revisited again. So we have on November 20th, Mars is square natal Neptune again. On the 23rd, it's conjunct natal Mars again. And on January 1st of 2023, Mars is going to be conjunct natal Uranus again. And shortly after that, on the 12th, Mars is going to be stationary direct. And then on the 23rd of January of next year, it's going to be conjunct Uranus again. Now, this whole period from January 1st through January 23rd of the year 2023, Mars is going to be moving slowly. It's pretty much going to be stuck at about 8 degrees Gemini, where natal Uranus is in our Declaration of Independence chart. And so this can literally be a very revolutionary time in America. At best, this will be a revolution of ideas. Uranus is in Gemini, which rules the mind. So at best, this will stimulate a lot of creative thinking and ideas. At worst, it triggers a lot of vigilante violence, things like another insurrection. More likely, we will fall somewhere in between, and there may be a strong political push for individual freedom and rights of some sort at this time. Again, we can't say for sure what the issues are that will be involved. It could be a woman's right to choose, it could be cannabis, it could be religious liberties, other sorts of individual liberties and freedoms could be the focus of concern at this time. But keep an eye on January of 2023, because Mars will be pretty much stuck at around 18 degrees Gemini, and it's going to be stimulating something. Okay, and then we move on to March. Let's see, the 6th of March next year, we have Mars, transiting Mars, conjunct natal Mars again, and then on the 8th of March next year, we have transiting Mars square Neptune. So again, this is a time in March there could be more violence or aggression in America, things related to delusional thinking, personal ideologies, or whatever. And let's see, toward the end of March, we leave that whole retrograde zone, and on the 31st of March, we have transiting Mars conjunct Venus. Hopefully that won't be anything too overly dramatic. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the November 8th lunar eclipse. And some astrologers have already talked about how this one's going to be a stinker. So let me read this. Many astrologers have already designated this eclipse as a real stinker since Uranus is in a very tight conjunction with the moon, and there are strong squares from Saturn. So here you can see, let's see, the moon and Uranus, they're very tightly conjunct. That's going to create a lot of hyper energy, a lot of unexpected things may occur. And things are going to be pretty strongly squared by Saturn. So Saturn square Uranus, this is a clash between what the collective wants in terms of control and stability, and what individuals want in terms of their own personal freedom and liberty. Okay, thus, expect at the very least clashes between groups that want to control and individuals that want freedom. And more to the point, expect the unexpected. Now, there's going to be a lot more going on with the USA chart, this July 4th, 1776 Declaration of Independence chart. And let me read this. During the November 8th eclipse, which is also election day in America, transiting Pluto is conjunct natal Pluto, transiting Neptune and Jupiter. That conjunction is stimulating the natal Neptune-Mars square. Right here, we've got this these two planets in opposition to natal Neptune square natal Mars, and transing Chiron is opposite natal Saturn in the USA chart. So here is transing Chiron opposite natal Saturn. We talked about that before, I think in part 2 of this series. And so I expect the passions created by competing ideologies will be running quite high, and there's a high risk for violence. However, there's also a chance for positive transformation transcendence. That's represented by this opposition of Chiron to Saturn. And I hope for the best, but we may experience the worst. Now, this lunar eclipse is really going to impact America. And the impact of this eclipse, it can last for several months to come. The ongoing issues are the Pluto return here, still in effect. And let's see, the opposition of Neptune and Jupiter to natal Neptune, and both natal Neptune and these planets here squaring natal Mars in the USA chart. You can also see transiting Mars in conjunction with natal Mars. That is really going to inflame things, stir things up. And we have transiting Chiron in opposition to natal Saturn. There's also this push to be better, to transcend our personal desires and wants and to grow spiritual. This push to transform America. And we're struggling with competing ideologies and violence in America. And this is all going to happen on the date for the midterm elections. So no matter how the elections turn out, I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be unhappy with the results. So the pot is really being stirred right now, and on November 8th. Okay, now just a few final thoughts. Throughout this fall, there are 3 configurations in the July 4th, 1776 Declaration of Independence chart that will be frequently stimulated. The Pluto return, the natal square between Neptune and Mars, and the opposition of Chiron to Saturn, which is in the natal chart and which we're experiencing by transit now. Thus, this fall will likely be a very active time in America that involves a lot of transformation, both good and bad, both far-sighted inspiration brought on by transing Neptune and Pisces, and delusional thinking that can lead to verbal or physical violence, brought on by natal Neptune and Virgo square natal Mars and Gemini, and some people being wounded, some healing, and yet others finding a greater purpose and wisdom in life as they move from focusing on just their personal desires to what they can do to contribute to the greater good. This is being brought on by this ongoing opposition of transing Chiron to natal Saturn. It is a time of tribulation, but it is also a time when we can come together to create a better future for everyone. It's your choice, and I hope we all make good choices as we go ahead. So again, this whole year is a time of great transformation for America. A lot of ugly things are being uncovered. This is a time when we're dealing with competing ideologies, and passions are inflamed, and that can lead to violence. But this is also a time when a doorway is being opened for greater spiritual growth and transcendence. So reflect upon things. Think about the best path you can take. Think about how you can be part of something greater, and go beyond just your own personal wants and desires. Become part of a greater future for America and the world. It's your choice, but I hope you make a good choice. And that's all, folks. That's the end of part 3. So I will stop sharing, and I'll say goodbye. And I hope we all make good choices in the months to come. Make a good choice, create a better future. Okay, goodbye.